A recent poll is actually showing Glenn Youngkin up 8% over the Democrat Terry McAuliffe for the Virginia governor race. Now, as a former Virginia resident myself, I have been really trying to pay attention to what's been happening over there since I left, because obviously, me and my wife, we left for a good reason, right? It's not a great state. It has a lot of problems. And actually seeing this starting to take place, Glenn Youngkin up 8% in one of the recent polls. It's blowing my mind right now. So we got a story here from the New York Post talking about this most recent poll. Again, he's up 8%. The Republican is up 8% in Virginia for the governor race. I can't get over this. I'm excited. I am finally a good story to talk about. An actual exciting story to talk about. So again, Glenn Youngkin up 8% over Democrat Terry McAuliffe in governor race poll. Let's also real quick remember, polls normally heavily favor Democrats over Republicans. All right, the way they do their polling typically means they oversample Democrats or people who lean Democrats. So they'll still contact Republicans who might live in, let's say, like cities like Richmond, right? And because of that, you typically get people who lean more left than right. So most time polls do not show an accurate picture. They normally show Democrats ahead by a few percentage points than what they really are. This is showing the Republican up by this much. This is absolutely insane. So the Republican Glenn Youngkin now holds a clear lead over Democrat Terry McAuliffe in the Virginia gubernatorial race with 5 days to go before Election Day, according to a just released poll. It's coming up, guys. I'm going to be excited. I'll be tuning into that one. The Fox News survey showed Youngkin leading McAuliffe by 8 percentage points, 53 to 45 among likely voters, with just 2% supporting other candidates or undecided. That represents a dramatic turnaround from just 2 weeks ago when the same poll showed McAuliffe with a 51% support among likely voters, 46 supporting Youngkin, and 3% undecided. Youngkin also leads McAuliffe by single percentage points, 48 to 47 among registered voters, a 12-point turnaround from 2 weeks earlier when McAuliffe held a 52-41 advantage amongst registered voters. Now, here's the funny thing, of course. When you look at, likely voters versus registered voters, almost everyone's registered. So you have, of course, kids who are 19 years old who probably aren't going to show up for an off-year election, who are also in that registered demographic. So that's why usually registered voters typically, again, lean more Democrat than likely voters. But even in registered voters, it's showing the Republican in the lead here. Even by 1 percentage point, that's still great. That's still awesome to see. The poll shows more bad news for President Biden, as fewer than half Virginia registered voters, 45%, now approve of the job he's doing as president, 6 percentage points down from just 2 weeks ago. I mean, how can you not? How can you not? With everything that he's done, with the price of gas skyrocketing, with the value of the dollar just falling apart, with shipping problems, inflation, mass inflation, what happened in Afghanistan, how can you not have a lower? I'm surprised it's 45%. I really am. Please, if you're a Biden supporter, please explain to me one accomplishment, literally just one accomplishment the man has made. Just one. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for a lot here. Just one accomplishment. I get that people didn't like Trump. I fully understand that. I didn't vote for him in the primaries, though I did vote for him in the general. I didn't vote for him in the primaries. All right. I didn't really care for Trump. I didn't like his attitude. But at the end of the day, his results were there. He had good results. Even if you hated the man personally, it was hard to argue with the results that were there. I don't like Biden either, but guess what? He's not showing any results whatsoever. So please, just tell me, if you like Biden, just one positive thing, just one accomplishment that he's really had. On the other hand, 53% of registered voters and 56% of likely voters disapprove of Biden's job performance, up from 48 and 49 respectively in the mid-October survey. McAuliffe, who was previously served as a Virginia governor between 2014 and 2018, did a terrible job then, by the way, I was living there then, had been considered a strong favorite to keep the Commonwealth Executive Mansion in Democrat hands after Biden carried Virginia by 10 percentage points last year's presidential election. So again, let's look at it this way. The Republican is up by 8 percentage points, and a state that Biden, again, depending on what you feel happened, won by 10 percentage points during the last election. That is how much things have changed in this short of time. So when people keep telling me, oh, we've lost it, we've lost everything, there's no hope here, man, there is hope. there is some serious hope. People are waking the hell up. They're starting to see food no longer being on their shelves, gas skyrocketing. They're seeing these things, and they're finally realizing who's really to blame. Because guess what? One thing Democrats did that was a big mistake for them was they pointed everything they could on Trump. So when Trump was gone, they couldn't even blame the Republican Party as a whole. They were having these commercials saying, the Republicans for the most part are okay, but people like Mitt Romney are great, Bush is great, but Trump, he's where all the problems come from. Well, now that he's gone, they got very few people to put the blame on. Obviously, they're still trying to use, this person's Trumpian, right? They're still trying to use Trump as the boogeyman, but people are realizing, no, Democrats have full control, right? They have control over the Senate, the Congress, and the presidency, and things are still going this bad. And it's really starting to show. However, and it's about to be mentioned here in this article, McAuliffe had a major issue pop up for him, which is just, by the way, it was great to see, especially with my most recent videos being about the subject. As recently as late August, one poll of likely voters showed McAuliffe leading Youngkin by 9 percentage points, and it's changed that quick. However, McAuliffe has stumbled repeatedly on the topic of education. Long considered the pet Democrat issue, parents raised concern about the implement of critical race theory and other controversial topics in the K-12 curriculum. During September 28 debate, McAuliffe flatly stated, "I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach." Repeat that again. "I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach," when asked to respond to complaints about sexually explicit books being in the school. I was going to do a video on some of these books that were in the school, but to be honest, I've done like 3 videos this week alone on the public education system. I had to move to something else. I had to do a video on something else because I couldn't take it anymore. I was going to be hitting my head against the wall here. I'll probably make a video about it maybe on Monday, I don't know. But basically, books that are almost straight up pornography were basically in the schools. He was asked about it, and he basically stated, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. Parents shouldn't be telling schools what they should teach to their children. That is the position of the modern Democrat Party. It's not your children, mind you, it's the children of the state. The state should have control over your children, not you. You have no say in what they learn. Only the state has say in what they learn. So obviously that pissed off a lot of parents. Thank goodness too, because parents need to start waking up, as I've constantly said. Youngkin jumped on the issue, accusing McAuliffe in the same debate of trying to suppress and silence parents so schools could push a woke, radical political agenda in the classrooms. Republican has also vowed to ban critical race theory as soon as he's elected, while McAuliffe has attempted to claim the topic is non-existent in the Virginia schools. Let me be clear. Critical race theory is not taught in Virginia, nor has it ever been taught, McAuliffe told WJLA-TV in a contentious interview last week. I'll be honest with you, I find it so offensive. It is a racist dog whistle that he's trying to do to divide parents and use children as political pawns. Yes, because telling parents you should have a say in what your kids learn is using the children as political pawns. Now, the left does this weird thing where they say, critical race theory is not taught in schools. And to a point, they're correct. No one's over here reading, the book Critical Race Theory by Richard Delgado. No one's sitting there reading this book to them directly. What they are doing, however, is taking the concepts from books like this and actually implementing them into the current lesson, into the current curriculum. So though they may not be teaching them directly out of the books, they are implementing what's in these books into the school system. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, why the hell do I have this book? I was told by a leftist this is the best book to properly explain what critical race theory is. I read through it, and as far as I can tell, if you replaced the word white with Jew, you would make a lot of friends in Germany back in the day. It is an awful book. It is a terrible book. It's inaccurate in so many ways historically. My God, it's an evil book because it's an evil ideology, right? It's an evil ideology from the get-go. So yes, I have read through some of the main readings for critical race theory, and I can say it is it's just absolute trash. I highly recommend other people read it just so they understand how terrible this stuff really is. Again, it's Critical Race Theory by Richard Delgado. It is a awful, awful, awful book. But again, they get away with saying critical race theory is not taught in their schools by saying that no one's reading directly out of these books, but what they will do is they will change the curriculum's questioning. So they'll still be teaching your basic science class, history classes, but they'll change different aspects of it to implement the ideology that is in these books. That is how they get critical race theory in the classroom. Or like in Atlanta, where they actually separated the kids by race and put all the black kids in a classroom with a black teacher and all the white kids with a white teacher. Because, according to critical race theory, the only way to fix prior discrimination is through future discrimination. Right? That's the sort of stuff that's talked about in these books. So they'll implement the philosophy, even if they're not teaching the philosophy, if you get what I mean by that. So it continued. McAuliffe later ended the interview abruptly, but not before he declined to discuss an October 4th memo by the Attorney General Merrick Garland that critics say targets parents who complain to school boards about critical race theory and other issues in places like Tony London County in Northern Virginia. If you haven't heard that story, go look it up. It is a horrendous, horrendous story. I can't go into detail with it in just one video alone. This video is already running too long, but it is a awful, awful, awful story that you should definitely look into. Again, you see it right here, Loudon County. Horrendous things happening over there. I will leave the Attorney General of the United States to make their decisions. I have no knowledge of it, the Democrats said. They're going to make their own decisions. We want to keep our schools safe. Yeah, if you really want to keep your schools safe, you would have implemented the policies that would have led to what happened in that school. Again, very careful about how you talk about it because people have been banned for talking about it. But all you gotta do is look up the story. I might make a small video on it later. It's a long drawn out thing. Look it up yourself for right now. It's a horrendous, horrendous case. But again, this is still great news. Again, we're talking 8 percentage points up for the Republican in the governor race for Virginia. For Virginia, a very pretty purple leaning blue state is showing this much change in this short of time. I'm telling you, people keep saying we're done. We're not done. We still have so much potential left. These people are making so many mistakes along the way. More and more people are waking up each and every day, and soon the only people who will be left who are Democrats are the cultists, right? And I'm not saying they're going to turn into full-fledged Republicans, right? I mean, you still have the traditional liberals who, let's be honest, probably won't vote for many Republican candidates. You still also have like the hardcore libertarians who will never vote Republican. I'm not saying that people should even vote Republican. The Republican Party kind of sucks, to be honest. But they are the best alternative. And I do believe that maybe we should vote for the lesser of two evils, as well as I don't think a new party is the answer. I do think that we should infiltrate the Republican Party and change it from within. I would like to see a more libertarian-style Republican Party, like we are kind of starting to see in many areas. The Republican Party is starting to turn more constitutionally minded. I mean, what's happening in Florida with them really taking hold of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, saying we're going to do our own thing, screw off. That's great. That's exactly what we need to be seeing from more politicians. So not everyone who's turning away from Democrats are going to turn over to Republicans, but that's okay. As long as we don't have these lunatics running the country, I could care less if it's a Republican or a Libertarian, or hell, sure, let's go back to a traditional liberal. I'm okay with the traditional liberals. At least we can agree on some basic, rights, like, I don't know, the First Amendment. Right? We can at least agree on stuff like the Second Amendment. We can agree with stuff like just the Bill of Rights in general. The far leftists now, they don't agree with any of that. They don't agree in the First Amendment. They don't believe that we have the right to bear arms. They don't believe in the right of due process. Right? They want to have full authoritarian control. I can make peace with anyone who simply believes in the Bill of Rights. But when it comes to these leftist lunatics and their authoritarian control with stuff like the COVID mandates, we have to put a stop to it. But what do you guys think? Is this poll just kind of more of an outlier, or do you really think Republicans have a real shot turning Virginia red? I mean, God, I hope so. I really hope so, because that will almost be kind of like a beacon in the dark right now, right? Where we can really start saying, yes, we're making progress. What we're doing is working. We can keep pushing forward more and more and more, and hopefully create some real lasting changes in this country. So leave a comment below. Who do you think is going to win in the Virginia race? As well as, of course, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like. It really does help out a lot. And subscribe to the channel for more. Again, videos every, Monday through Fridays, every day. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be talking again real soon.